This is First Alert Weather Extra.
Hey, welcome to First Alert Weather Extra. It is our 7 p.m. weekday weather show, and whether there's a whole lot of weather happening or not, we're going to spend some time and take a deep dive into a bunch of different weather topics, and I'll wait some geomagnetic topics as well. Good evening. I'm Mark Nelson here in the First Alert Weather Center. We got Peyton Major. How you doing?
Doing good. I have this is a live view. No, I'm just kidding. That'd be cool.
Oh, you got me all excited. Like, what?
No, that'd be really cool. No, it's an old photo. But we'll talk more about the fun lights in the sky.
In fact, let's do that first. I got that highlighted. First thing, Northern Lights tonight. And clearly, you can guess who's going to talk about the Northern Lights. We got Peyton here. So you go.
I'm ready to go. Okay, so if you saw it last night, I won't be able to see your hand raised, but just let us know. We want to see your photos. You can send it to us on our Fox 12 app. Easiest way to do it. But yeah, Northern Lights again tonight. We've been really closely watching the forecast, but we'll get to the exact specifics of tonight coming up. First, I want to talk about the lovely photos that we had even submitted just last night and this morning. Jane Bush from Glenadin Beach. So pretty. I love how you can see the ocean there. And then a couple from Cheryl and Warren and Christina in North Plains. Beautiful. And I love you can see the pillars too. It's a great photo. And then I spelled northern wrong. Here we go. Spell check. I know. No, I'm not going to try to pronounce that, but that's fine. That's from Newburgh. Michelle Colvin, thank you for sharing. Okay, here's a video of the Aurora. April Brooks sent this. I think it's from Battleground, if I remember correctly, but you can barely see it. We're going to get back to why you can barely see that video, but you can see the bright colors in the photos there. Here's our lows this morning. 25 degrees in Portland. You probably had to boost up your thermometer and your heat in your home last night. It was cold. 24 in Hillsborough. By the way, that 25 in Portland is the coldest low we've had so far this season. It was cold all up and down I-5 corridor. Salem was 23, same with Eugene, right at freezing in Roseburg. Tillamook, 28 degrees, and then, yeah, no surprise, it was really cold in eastern Oregon, but yeah, single digits in Burns, 8 degrees. Here's our coldest winter temperature in Portland. Last year, that one snow event we had in February around Valentine's Day, our low was 24, and that was our coldest night. And yeah, this morning we were just 1 degree warmer. We'll see what happens tonight. We got another cold one on tap. Okay, here's the Aurora forecast for tonight. So this is actually what NOAA puts out, a very similar chart to this, where you see the red area is the best chance for viewing, decent chance in the green, and then they usually create some kind of viewing line, which is the furthest south you can easily view the Aurora. Now, the viewing line, I think, can be moved a little bit sometimes. Sometimes a viewing line has, sat here, but it can be viewed as far south as maybe Oklahoma. So yeah, I'd say this is a very relative graphic, but what you could focus on is more of the actual forecast. So you can see across the bottom of your screen, there's G1 through G5. There's also a KP5 through KP9. All that's irrelevant. All I want you to know is that G3 is considered a very active storm, and that's our forecast for tonight. So we want to see usually a G2 or higher in order to have a chance for seeing the Aurora locally, and that's a KP6 or higher. I just checked, and we're about a KP7 right now, which is why that's flashing. And again, there is an opportunity to go see it. Now, if you stand outside and you are out there for 60 seconds, you're probably not going to see much. It kind of takes some patience, but no, it's going to be pretty chilly out there, still windy. We're on the west side here, but yeah, it's still windy outside even over here, so I'm sure the east side is much stronger. And then you want to use your long exposure setting on your camera. Deep dive into how auroras form. We got an invisible magnetic field around Earth, and you can see it's kind of oddly shaped, but it's very weak at the poles. And so that's why it kind of goes in at the top and bottom, the North Pole and South Pole. And that's why these events constantly happen up in those pole areas, because the magnetic field's a little weaker. Well, we have these things called solar storms and solar wind, and when these happened, geomagnetic storms, they actually move through space and can actually enter the magnetic field, which is cool. Now, if they're strong enough, then basically we can start to see these lights move south, move a little closer to the equator. Will they ever get to the equator? Usually not, but they'll kind of move at least into Canada and sometimes into the northern half of the U.S. when those storms are really strong. So these electrons, they collide with the molecules in the atmosphere, and what's cool is basically depending on whatever the molecules hit, whether it's oxygen, nitrogen, or depending on the elevation as well, that's the colors it spits out. So I know we saw a lot of colors in green yesterday. I saw some kind of pinkish hues as well. So that's nitrogen and oxygen. And again, all depending on the level, which is really cool. Okay, so let's talk about a satellite view. It's been real cloudy out in central Oregon. This is very common, has been for the last few days, but some upper level clouds moving through. They're kind of more of a wispy shade there on our satellite view, and that's how you know they're higher in the sky and not as dense and close to the valley floor. But current temperatures, I mean, it's chilly out there. If you're heading right after the show, maybe you want to go see it for yourself. 39 out there, so we just dropped into the 30s in Portland. Corvallis is freezing, Sunset Summit 33. It's cold. Hour by hour, if you're heading out in the next few hours, again, it's just going to get colder, so just make sure you pack a jacket. And then tomorrow, cold and frosty. Maybe you want to wake up early before sunrise. Know that the solar forecast could fluctuate from now until then. Yesterday, it actually ended up peaking around midnight, which was interesting. And so it's just hard to know exactly when it's going to be at its best, which is why we say make sure you're patient. But our forecast for tonight is similar to this morning, around the mid-20s for the Portland metro area. It could get a little colder in the outlying areas. And then on the east side, where the east wind is still blowing, probably near freezing. And tonight, again, all across the viewing area, it's going to be cold. Really cold out in eastern Oregon still. Do you have a comment, Mark? Oh, I thought you were.
No, did it look like I had a comment?
Yeah, he raises his hand sometimes.
No, I just, brushed my eyebrow. That's
okay, it's peripheral. Okay, back to this video. I said it's a little bit odd that this video is a little dimmer than those photos I showed you, and there's a very strong reason for this because April took this video, probably, I'm assuming, on their phone. But if you capture a photo in a certain setting, then you're going to see much brighter colors than if you take a video, and that's because of night mode. Have you ever seen that little night, I'm going to say it's a little moon icon on your iPhone if you have an iPhone or smartphone. That is actually a long exposure setting. If you have a professional camera, you probably know what that is. And what it does is if you hold still and stay in one spot and focus on light, it's going to take all that light in, usually takes about 10 seconds or so, and then deliver a picture that absorbed about 10 seconds of light rather than that quick little snapshot.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
Well, of course, I'm in the plus 50 crowd, so it's possible. I've seen the icon and I quickly moved on. I didn't know what it was. Yeah,
and you can adjust it on, at least on, I don't know if it's a new update or if it's always like this.
That's pretty neat.
But you can adjust the timing. So you want to make it as long as possible because the longer you can hold still at that certain source, even if you see just a slight little green hue to the sky, then the higher chance you're going to have some beautiful bright colors. That's how you get the good photos. Also, because it's absorbing all the light in proximity, you want to make sure you're avoiding light pollution. I've seen a couple photos of the aurora and maybe there's a street light in it. And what happens is that street light is so much brighter than the aurora, it's going to take over the photo and probably ruin it. So avoid street lights. Sometimes if you are in a dark place and you look at your phone and look at the sky, you're going to see nothing. Make sure your eyes are fully adjusted to the night sky too. That's another thing. You want to make sure is it your pupils dilate or undilate?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the whole
Dilate.
science. Dilate. Okay, and then also, as I've said 3 times, I think now, be patient because the aurora will come and go. If you're watching this on our Fox 12 News app, lucky for you, very easy spot to send your photos. You can also do it on our weather app, and you can do it on our website, but make sure you have those photos submitted with the location and your name as well. That's kind of your best bet. That's all I have for the aurora. Now, Mark, I want to return back to you because we got honestly not much going on.
Peyton, I did just check that KP index, the one where you get every 30 minutes. It was 7.3 and then 7.0, so it's still 7.0 as you said.
Nice.
So it's hanging on, so it's a possibility.
Yeah, go to a high elevation spot. I think you mentioned yesterday though, don't go to Crown Point or Rooster Rock.
That said, so when I drove home last night, I have to drive kind of by Crown Point on the way home, and there were a lot of cars coming back, and I thought, did they actually get out of their cars? Because if the wind is gusting to 60, 65, 70, and it's 31 degrees, that's a wind chill of, I don't know, 18 degrees. There's no way somebody stood outside for more than 1 minute.
From recent personal experience, it's pretty miserable up there. So.
And you were there when it was like 40 degrees.
Yeah.
So imagine 10 degrees or so colder. And a stronger wind.
It's a lot.
Okay, let's talk about next big change. What do we have coming up? I think Peyton alluded to, we don't have a big change coming up. There's no big change in the next 7 days. Minor changes, as always. We're going to be dry through Sunday. Just a shower chance Monday and Tuesday. That's the best I can do for rain, just a shower chance. But it does give us, with the thin high clouds that Peyton was showing you on that satellite imagery, that does give us great sunsets. This was just during our evening show at 4 o'clock here, our Seaside It's for Fun camera. So, ooh, look at that. Oh, there's the moon. This is what's helping us with the aurora, by the way. We have a
it's
moon,
like a little toenail.
A little crescent moon. We just had a new moon. Yeah, a little toenail or fingernail, yeah. Okay, so it is cold out there. 39 degrees, wind is gusting to 24. That's out of PDX. People coming out, if they just got back from their tropical location, they come out with their luggage and go, oh my gosh, it's cold out here. I mean, it ain't Minnesota, but it's chilly. In fact, look at that gust between 30 and 40, Sunset Transit Center. A little known fact is the gusty east wind that's strongest in the west end of the gorge, kind of spreads out into the east metro. There's actually a secondary maximum where it goes over the west hills and comes down the west slope of the west hills. So windy right there. You see gust of 30 at Happy Valley, 38 at Gresham. I saw a gust of 48 earlier in Gresham. Troutdale gusting between 40 and 50. And then you get into the gorge, 63 there, Corbett, but man, it just does not want to give up. In fact, this was by far our strongest east wind episode of the winter. This is the sixth day with peak gusts down at Rooster Rock State Park below Crown Point. So we know it's even windier up at Crown Point, right? But the sensor there is reading kind of weak, so we don't use that lately. But 4 days with gusts between 70 and 80 down on the river. And then there were 2 days before that with gusts 60 to 70. So it should back off tomorrow. That's the plan. Wind chill temperature, yeah, in the wind, it feels like it's in the low to mid 20s east metro right now. Really cold stuff. All right, Peyton showed you this. See underneath the high clouds, this thick layer of low clouds. This is the Columbia Basin. We call it a cold pool, which is basically everywhere below about 4,000 feet is in a cold layer, a layer of cold air. And today it actually expanded. I was watching, you know, because everybody like me, I assume, has their morning coffee, plops down in the chair and pulls up the visible satellite imagery, right? Isn't that what we all do?
Yeah.
And you could see this, Peyton. The low cloud layer was up in northern Deschutes County. It surged to the south in the morning, which told me suddenly the cold layer deepened, which accounts for the pressure gradient got stronger this afternoon and the wind got stronger at the west end of the gorge. So just a little surge came in from the north and east. All right, so after dark we can't see it too well because the high clouds are obscuring it, but it's still all there. Another indication, look at this. Where is the top of the cold air? Can you find it? Between what place and what place, Peyton? Can you see those numbers?
Yeah.
Where does it get warmer suddenly?
At Timberline.
Yeah, look at Government Campus.
And even Mount Hood Meadows.
Yeah, Government Campus 20. You drive 6 miles up the road is 43. So the cold layer is about 4,000 feet or so thick. Okay, this is at 6,000 feet, 4,000 feet. So it's more than 4,000 feet thick. And yeah, Government Camp 20 there. 20 down the highway 2 miles down the road. Santa Ana Pass, 20 degrees. Rhododendron is over the west slope as you go down the west side. But yeah, so inversion, very cold air. So what about this wind? You're saying, when is this going to end? It's been going on 5 or 6 days. It's not going to end tomorrow, but it should back off significantly. It actually did that in the middle of the night last night. I think Troutdale at one point had gusts only 25 or so. But again, strong tonight. Nothing's going to change tonight. Then it backs off a little bit tomorrow and backs off even more so on Thursday. I think by the time we get to Thursday, it's just a breeze in the east metro area. All right, but low temperatures. Oh, Peyton, you covered this, right?
Yeah, but you can keep going.
Well, 25 was the coldest of the winter in Portland. I got one. You didn't use this graphic, did you?
Yeah, I did, but it's okay.
You used this one too?
Yeah, but I didn't deep dive before last year.
I thought you were just Aurora.
Sorry.
You're taking all the good stuff.
No, I'm just kidding. Our communication is rough.
These are the arguments we have, folks. I thought you were going to talk about only Northern Lights. Oh, looks like I need to move that graphic up a little bit. The bosses hate it when the little logo covers it. Yeah, 25. You know, a lot of winters, that's about the coldest we get in the winter. I think, Peyton, if I recall correctly, the average low temperature when you take, 30 or what's any one typical winter, what's the coldest we tend to get? It's like 22 degrees, I think, something like that.
Yeah, it's rare we drop into the teens.
It would not be shocking if this was the coldest temperature of the winter so far. There are some winters not unusual to have Portland never gets below 26, 27 degrees. That does happen. Of course, these are when we have the big blasts of cold air from the east. Are we going to get one of those? We're not in the next week. And after that point, we've only got about a 2-week. By the time we get to Valentine's Day or so, we don't get generally ever below 20 degrees. So. There you go. We're going to run out of time here in the next few weeks to have a big cold blast. Let's say you want a big blast of cold air. Okay, you covered this. 26 in Portland tonight. Windy areas around freezing. You didn't do this graphic,
No,
right?
This is new content, folks.
Big picture, new content. Hasn't been seen twice here. The reason we're so cold back east, which, by the way, there's a big snowstorm coming. Peyton's going to cover that in a minute. Snowstorm back there. But very cold in the east. Very mild and dry in the west, a snow drought all across the west. You hear about all the ski resorts across the west needing snow. This pattern is going to persist just in a different form over the next 9 days. So let's put it in motion here. We got Thursday, Friday, still cold. Actually, a fresh surge of cold air coming down into the Great Plains on Friday. Ridge is slightly to our west. All right, it's still kind of there. Now notice it weekends. We get to Sunday, the main flow is still going like this on Sunday, but there's a little wiggle coming through, and that's why we have that chance for showers Monday and Tuesday. Okay, then once we get to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, this is more of what we call a dirty ridge. It's still very cold to the east. It's shoved a little farther east. And then we still have an area of high pressure. The main flow in the atmosphere is going about like this, but instead of having a big high pressures here offshore, it gets replaced by deep trough of low pressures. So this would tend to give us mild and wet weather. Clouds, a lot of clouds coming up from the southwest. This is Thursday, 2 days before the end of the month. So it's still pretty dry across the west, but little weak weather systems are probably getting us. We call this a dirty ridge because little areas of showers or weak weather systems sneak through. Some models have a lot of rain, like just over us the end of next week with the main flow of moisture like this. Others say, nope, it's a little farther north and we stay mainly dry later next week. Either way, this is mild for us. We're going to end January on a mild note. I feel very comfortable saying we're not going to have snow in the month of January. So far, 9-day dry streak. We think we've got a bunch more coming. So forecast cloud cover, we'll do this pretty quickly. Models do not handle this cold pool of air very well. They think it's there, then they think it isn't. It'll stay there for a few more days. Thin high clouds tomorrow. And then Thursday, a little thicker high clouds. Our evening model says we could get a sprinkle Thursday evening as what's left of this system comes through. We didn't put a chance for a sprinkle in. Either way, it's gone by Friday. Friday, it's back to all sunshine. All right, so ski bowl, look at that. 20, oh, there it is. 20 at the base of ski bowl. And you can see the light. Where is it? Up there at the top. It's 38 degrees up there, 18 degrees warmer.
It's so crazy.
You can also see how the snowpack is. I don't want to badmouth ski bowl because it's like this all around the Cascades, but the snow has really turned into a real brick. Where it's groomed, it's okay, but off that groom, pretty shiny up there. All right, so skiing outlook, what do we see for skiing? Last snow was almost 2 weeks ago now where we had the 2 to 3 feet. It was the middle of the week 2 weeks ago. I don't see any snow through this weekend. What we have there is what we have for this weekend. Yeah, there are some thin areas, but there are some nice groomed runs too. No one's paying me to say that. I'm just saying you can still have fun in the sunshine coming up this weekend. Next snow likely still 7 to 9 days away. We don't know what form that takes later next week. Hopefully not a Pineapple Express. We hope not. Yeah. So 7-day forecast back here in Portland. We stay dry through the weekend. Looks pretty pleasant. We do have that slight shower chance Monday and Tuesday. I think there was one more thing I was going to point. Oh, I know what it was. Notice we've taken off the little wind icon for Thursday. Just a Troutdale. Models aren't perfect, but you can see the general forecast for wind gusts. This is 10 p.m. tonight, all the way through Thursday evening. Slow drop off through the pier, then quite a drop off. It may just almost disappear by the time we get to Thursday afternoon. It'll be quiet. For those of you that have had hurricane force wind gusts, it might actually go mainly quiet by Thursday. 2 other points. One is once we get the cloud cover, maybe starting Sunday night, the overnight lows start to come up. It'll be quite a bit warmer. And then looking just beyond Tuesday, we can see the general picture. I like this graphic because it summarizes the most, the big 4 events we can get here in the wintertime. Next 7 to 10 days, so this takes us through the 31st. Saturday is the 31st, I believe, a week from Saturday. Do we see any lowland snow through the end of January? No. In fact, it looks unlikely below even ski bowl, government camps elevation, anywhere below there. Arctic blast, nope. I don't see a single model or ensemble member of a model that shows cold air making it into the Pacific Northwest. Windstorm, no. We just don't see any storms moving on to the Pacific Northwest coastline. And we sure don't have any flooding because it hasn't rained. And we don't see significant rain coming up. So, yeah, kind of quiet. But we found plenty to talk about during our First Alert Weather Extra. Peyton, what do you think?
Well, definitely want to say really quick in that last graphic,
I
don't think all season we've changed any of those no's to yeses. It's always been maybe a possible.
The wind and the rain we have.
On the wind and rain, not the Arctic air.
You're right, the lowland snow, nope.
It's been no, lots of
And
no's.
Arctic cold, maybe watching, and that's about it. So I guess for any weather excitement, you're going to have to go east, huh?
Yeah, and I mean, this is kind of crazy. So I actually usually don't look, east of the Rockies, because meh. Who needs to know
already
that,
happened.
right?
It already moved by.
Yeah, it's already gone.
Right.
But actually, so I used to work in Virginia, and I had a friend text me saying, are we going to get some crazy snow this weekend? And I'm like, what? So I looked. Here's what's going to happen.
Huh?
So we have cold air that's diving south, not for us. Again, this is just for the East Coast. But you can see temperatures at or below 32 degrees. This is current, stretching mainly right around the Great Lakes, even all the way down into the Carolinas. And here's our observed highs today there. Fargo, 13 degrees. Again, this is high temperatures. Minneapolis, 13. I know over the weekend, their lows were in the 20s. And this cold air's been there, actually. This may not be new news to you, just because I knew it was cold over there. In fact, there was even snow recorded in Tallahassee, Florida, in the panhandle of Florida over the weekend. But this is more interesting because not only is the cold air lingering, but we start to see a little bit of a storm developing across the Midwest about Friday this week. And you can see purple purple is snow, green is rain. It starts to move pretty much right across the mid-Atlantic. I mean, this is stretching into, Dallas, maybe even down to Houston, stretching over Tennessee into Kentucky, and then now even across portions of the East Coast. It could even touch the state of New York too. So this is I'll show you two models, or two kind of longer range models that we typically rely on. And this is ending Saturday, 7 a.m. for now. You can see some snow's already arriving in Arkansas, maybe even up to Nashville. But then things get really interesting later Saturday into Sunday. And this yellow shade on this model indicates 20 inches of snow. Now, again, we are well out. I'm sure it won't be that much. At least we hope it's not that much, because this area is kind of like us, where everything gets sold out. Basically, the world ends when it snows. So yeah, you definitely don't want to see 20 plus inches in those areas. This is our GFS model. It's going even higher. It's crazy. Look at Charlotte, nearly 20 inches there, and that darker shade, maybe 30 inches. I don't know. We'll see. Again, this is really far out, but like we mentioned earlier, no snow locally. Basically, spot the Aurora tonight, it says. Maybe I clicked a button too far. Basically, that's where all the snow is going to be, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of travel delays too.
And one thing, between the snow area and the rain, where you had the green rain and the blue snow, I looked. A lot of freezing rain, big ice storm in the middle of those two, kind of along that line. So places
like Alabama.
Yeah, northern Louisiana, northern Alabama, northern Mississippi, maybe Atlanta, big ice storm, like an inch or more.
So that will be the headline this weekend, where we're going to be here in our little sunshine bubble with maybe a few clouds.
Uneventful, chilly. I do like the chilly nights, and I love the sunshine in the morning. So there you go.
That'll help our warm winter.
It's weird. For all we know, we have an incredibly wet February and March, and we'll make up all the precipitation. We will see. Okay, I think we covered it all. Any final thoughts? Nope, we good?
That is all.
Thanks for joining us. The music is up. That means we're going to be ushered off the stage, and we will see you tomorrow night on First Alert Weather Extra at 7 p.m. See you then.